Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another fantastic day here for the Faceit League playoffs. We had ourselves a pretty good day yesterday. Everybody getting their opening rounds all taken care of. And Dex, for some teams, they are worried about that lower bracket right now, potentially being eliminated here today. But we are focused on the upper bracket here today with Dreamland and Emote down mid. The winner of this game will get that spot in the second stage of the upcoming qualifiers for OWCS, but the loser, unfortunately, has to go down to that lower bracket, has to still fight for the life and a chance to be in that top four to qualify for that.
Yeah, however, already being one game into or in this upper bracket round 2 here, these two teams are already safe into be or already locked into being into Masters tier next season. So they have a little bit of pressure off their backs here tonight, but still a lot of pressure on them, especially with these two teams as Dreamland takes on Emote down mid here. Hunter, I mean, Dreamland's been one of the more dominant teams this entire season, and face it, Emote down mid got off to a very slow start. However, after that 0-3 start, they won their last 10 of the last 12 games here and are looking like a team that really has this potential to, I think, make a lot of noise in the playoffs.
I 100% think so as well, and that's just the nature of what we really seen from these teams. As we have a quick moment to kind of look at the bracket and how things have shaked up so far here. Of course, we have Nightmare and Sugi to worry about as well. That should also be another good game with honestly quite a bit of upset potential directly onto it. But at the same time, we got those teams that are very much again fighting for their lives in this situation. And to be fair, we knew teams were going to have to deal with that. But to see teams like Extinction, like Nightmare Academy down this early, obviously it's a bit of a scary thing.
Yeah, absolutely. When you look at the lower bracket here, Extinction and Amplify being down that lower bracket, me and you both like those teams a lot. Me and you really want to see those teams next season in Masters tier. It's unfortunate that one of them will not be locked in. YFP Nightmare Academy, though, on the other hand, me and you feel like that's a little bit of a toss-up there. When it comes to that matchup overall, both those teams really good, but both of them had really, I think, poor showings yesterday in the first round matchups. I watched YFP take on Dreamland yesterday. YFP did get better as the series went on. However, it just wasn't enough for them. Nightmare Academy, though, I did not see that one. That was a 3-0 loss there to Emote down mid, a team who they had previously beat in the final game of the regular season.
Yeah, and it's a massive win for them to finish out that season as well. But of course, we're here in the playoffs. It's gonna matter big time. And hey, as we're going out the gate, Dreamland, higher seed, get the first pick. They are not only gonna take us over to Ilios, but they're gonna take the ball out immediately this time. Some teams will hesitate, wait for the right time, but Dreamland, they're going to take the hammer down right on the spot.
Yeah, again, especially if you don't know anything about Emote down mid here, well, let's give you a quick crash course on this team right now. This is a team full of a lot of great players. Some players have OWCS experience. Some should have been in OWCS, but because of rules, were denied. Cardi Fan being that player I'm talking about right there. Well, they are known as a prolific Wrecking Ball and Doomfist player here in North America, Masters tier. So get rid of the Wrecking Ball here early. Force them maybe onto something like a Doomfist, but Dreamland, they seem like a team that's very confident to be able to shut down anything. The Wrecking Ball out here, though, on Ilios, I think is a right move by them. Emote down mid, though. It's going to be really interesting to see what they ban out here, because one thing that I did not see a lot from Dreamland yesterday, or at all, if I'm remembering correctly, was a Vendetta come out from them. This was a team that I don't think has really adopted that Vendetta playstyle, but it hasn't slowed them down just yet.
No, it has. In a lot of teams have kind of leaned into it, but it's not necessarily something that is a must to win this season for a lot of teams, honestly. That's the way I genuinely feel as we see there is an on hold, and this has been happening a lot so far in the playoffs. But obviously, to kind of double down on your point here, that my brain has decided to already forget. You know how it is, Dex. You know how it is. But I like the fact that they are going for this early ban here. They're not wasting any time. And to be fair, if they know what's coming, they know what to expect. The question is really, why wait on it?
Yeah, why absolutely wait here? And honestly, it would not surprise me if Dreamland just says, okay, we're going to get rid of Ball this map, Doomfist next map here, try to go up 2-0 in the series, because after that, if you really think Cardi Fan's going to be the biggest problem for you here, you will have 3 maps at the most to deal with getting around it here. However, Dreamland, I mean, like I said, one of the most dominant teams this season, maybe one of the most dominant teams in Faceit League history here. Only
Yeah.
one loss came to Nightmare in a really, really late in the season matchup between two undefeated teams there. Outside of that one loss, only 3 other maps were dropped by them the entire season here. I mean, I talked about last night, I talked about with you before we came on for Dreamland. If they end up winning this entire playoffs, your grand finals champions, you have to really talk about them as one of the more dominant teams, or one of the most dominant teams to ever play in Faceit Masters here. And Emote down mid, I mean, again, talked about them a lot here. Cardi fan, not the only person you have to worry about. PDK on that DPS line, going to be absolutely scary. Looks like they're going to be bringing in a couple other people as well, at least from Dreamland here. We saw a lot of Kiwi yesterday from them. Looks like it's actually been Nenwai starting out for them this time around. Nenwai played the entire series last time they played Emote down mid. Kiwi played the entire series yesterday, so maybe a little bit of maybe Nenwai was just not available yesterday, but still, you have subs on both these teams that can really come in and leave a mark in this series.
And that is what's really important with a lot of these teams, is that they have the ability to bring in a lot of these amazing players, because being able to have that amount of depth here is important. Now, of course, you have a couple players that did end up going up to some of the partner teams, but that doesn't take away too much from these squads. We still have Kiwi and Alex sitting by. You still have Gorilla and Baz over on the side of EDM as well. You have these great players that are still here that are able to make impact if they need to come in these situations. So regardless of it, I think they're confident in everybody they're willing to bring in, but it should be said how much confidence there is with the 5 that you are throwing out here to get things started. Especially, you see those usual 4 with Dion, Talisman, Manually, Graveyard, that we're so used to seeing stay in that lineup, because they are just so consistently good players that it's hard to ever take them out for any given reason.
Yeah, and I'm going to focus in on Dion here a little bit. I feel like when a lot of people talk about tanks, especially in this NA Masters tier, you talk about tanks like Cardi Fan, you talk about tanks that are on Kintsugi and Nightmare here. I think Dion, though, might be the tank that's talked about the least. However, I think they've been playing the best of any tank here so far in North American Masters tier here. And looks like Iari is going to be our second ban coming out here.
We have been bamboozled again. We have been bamboozled. It's another on hold.
Yeah, if the Iari ban's actually real, it's really interesting here. It feels like more of just a ban. I would normally say it feels like more of a ban you just throw out there just to get rid of early on. Maybe one where you don't necessarily know what to make for EDM here. But Iari's actually been getting a lot of play here recently. And we've started to see a big uptick in just their value, the value you're able to get out of that hero. I mean, a good source of damage as well, good poke presence, great source of healing, especially with Pylon, meaning that they can basically play off angles while the Pylon is in a good spot to heal everyone. So if that's a real ban coming out here, I think it'd be very, very smart ban there from EDM.
Honestly, I don't hate it whatsoever. I think it's a fantastic pick, and we'll see how well it ends up working. You know, one, once we're actually into the game, and two, if that is the actual ban, because spoiler alert, ladies and gentlemen, as we'll go and show you really quick, we are not the only series dealing with this. Everybody is currently dealing with pauses as of this moment, so no one getting ahead of anybody, which is a bit rough, all things considered, because now we're in a situation where everyone's got to get their own stuff going, and this unfortunately has been a bit of a consistent problem since the playoffs begun.
Yeah, unfortunately it has been. I think yesterday in North America, it was actually probably the best it has been, where there wasn't that much of a problem. I know EMEA day 1, there was some problems. South America day 1, there were a lot of problems. I think Hunter, both those series there in South America had to go to manual lobbies, but both ended up being 3-0s. North America, I think there was 1 or 2 lobbies that are games that had a problem. I know Dreamland's game yesterday did not, fortunately enough. But I mean, this has been a thing, especially with a new patch coming in, and especially with what's coming in next season as well. There's a lot of new stuff that's being added, and the patch has kind of messed up a couple things here. But while we have the time, Hunter, let's actually talk about one thing that we do have going on here tonight for the viewers of our stream. That is Faceit point drops. Both me and Hunter are featured co-streamers this week for your Faceit League playoffs here right now. And if you go down below the stream, click the panel to connect your Faceit account to the stream. You'll be able to get a chance to get some Faceit point drops for free just by watching either one of our streams.
Yeah, it's fantastic, and not just either one. You can pull up both these bad boys right now. Pull them both up. potentially double your chances of getting that in. You just gotta enjoy it, get these points, and you can get a bunch of things. You can save up for things like sprays, like cosmetics. Heck, you get enough, you could get yourself potentially some Overwatch coins as well. Get yourself that battle pass going. You never know, at the end of the day, we're gonna have a ton that are going to be dropping throughout the entirety of the weekend, especially on Sunday. Gonna have even more available then. But obviously, we're focused on the here and now, so make sure to go connect those. Make sure you get yourself in that running for those Faceit points, because when you're just watching these and they're kind of chipping away, they will add up quickly, and before you know it, you'll have something. And hey, at the end of the day,
Yeah.
it's free. Free is free. How can you complain about free?
Yeah, I mean, I'll basically say it like this. During the OWCS last season, when they had the Faceit point drops going on, I essentially would just turn on the stream, watch it, and just farm points. I think there was one day where I ended up making out with about 5,000 Faceit League points just watching. Probably won't get that many tonight, to be fair, or to be honest. But there is the chance that you could get a lot here throughout the stream. Again, though, you have to connect your Faceit League account to to Twitch here and to the website as well to be able to get those drops here, especially with everyone who is streaming across all the Faceit tiers and regions. There's a lot of opportunities for it. Speaking of that, there are some other people who are streaming here tonight. So if this series ends early or this series goes long, or hey, you want to have a quad box like what you can get on some cable providers, I know Ma Neva is covering Kintsugi and Nightmare. Actually, no, I'm wrong about that. I'm pretty sure I'm wrong about that. Let me pull it up. I know Jilled Water is covering Kintsugi and Nightmare. That's definitely one person who's covering that. They are a featured coach streamer. Ma Neva, another featured coach streamer, covering Amplify and Extinction down in the lower bracket. And unfortunately, there is one game that's not being covered tonight. YFP and Nightmare Academy, that one's not being covered. We'll try to keep you updated on how that one is going once we get started here. But a lot of people are covering Nightmare and Kintsugi. A couple co-streamers, a couple featured co-streamers there as well. So you have a lot of eyes on that one. I know Bullskunk is also covering this game here tonight. But hey, it happens sometimes. This series, though, I think both me and you came into the day looking at saying this will probably end up being the best series. Nightmare, I think, in that game against Kintsugi, looking for a little bit of revenge in that one, going to be a little bit angry. And we've seen an angry Nightmare team in the past absolutely just lay waste to some teams.
Yeah, and we saw that bounce back in a lot of these situations of Nightmare is able to do. And obviously, that's the worst thing you're going to run into, is a team that is already a buzzsaw in a lot of senses, playing angry. There's next to nothing you can do in that situation. Now, obviously, we'll see what Kintsugi is able to do in this situation, because, to be fair, they have been on the up and up. They have been on the grind, and they have a great set of players that has pushed them this far. And Kintsugi is a team that genuinely can get towards that top 4. I think there's a very real shot for them there. Will they be able to pull it up against Nightmare? I think it's going to be probably their toughest challenge so far. But again, if you see teams before manage to pull it off, they can 100% do the same.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we talk about it a lot in South America, where granted there's only 4 teams, but it seems like whenever a team gets knocked down to that lower bracket, we've always seen them make a run. We've never seen a team get knocked down in the winners final and make it back up to the grand finals. Granted, a couple more matches here in North America, but I think Extinction being down that lower bracket this early on is going to be a great benefit to them. They almost actually knocked down Nightmare last night, but Nightmare was able to get some revenge on Extinction, hand them their first loss of the season there. But still, I think there's a lot of tough matchups going ahead here. I think Extinction, already in that lower bracket, has a good chance to make a little bit of a run down there. Granted, they will have to go up against some strong foes no matter what, because I think this Emote down mid team is a big dark horse, is a big sleeper team, and that's probably not necessarily a amazing or a hot take. Emote down mid, I feel like if everything goes right for them, they are one of the best teams here in this region, and they can definitely show it here tonight against Dreamland.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm gonna quickly just break the fourth wall for a second here. Apparently they're putting together a custom lobby right now, and I don't think they know we exist at the moment.
That's fun.
So we're gonna quickly try to get that taken care of, because it seems like that's happening to pretty much everyone is gonna have to move over to custom stuff at this moment. So we're going to take a quick moment and get that taken care of. Oh, Graveyard's in the thing. Okay, Graveyard. My buddy, let me send you over. I did not see you there. Oh, we are at a black screen. Now we're back. We're live, Dex. We're live.
Yeah. Well, my screen's only just seeing the Faceit page right here since you have my camera. But
Perfect.
I mean, again, hopefully they remember us here momentarily or soon. If we are going to manual lobbies, unfortunate that we're going to manual lobbies here because none of the stats will be saved. It'll be hard to talk about stats, especially in a series like this where I think the stats will be immensely important to a lot of these teams and tell you a lot of the story of this series. Because I looked at the stats last time these two teams met, and it seemed like EDM just kind of stayed pretty consistent throughout the entire series. But Dreamland, on the other hand, started off kind of not necessarily slow, but as consistent as EDM, but only got better as the series went on.
No, 100%. That's the way things went down. It feels like we have quite a couple of series that have kind of gone down this route, and obviously, very thankfully so, that we can watch these series really develop over time, because it feels like we saw quite a bit, especially earlier on the season, where they start really close, and then those next two maps kind of just slowly spread apart more and more and more. It feels like we've kind of had like the opposite effect in more recent times, and I love seeing that. That's what you want at the end of the day, seeing these teams develop during a game and be able to adapt on the spot. But again, adaptation only does so much at the end of the day in terms of making up for what some of these teams can do in terms of what they've practiced within their compositions, that sometimes can't be made up for on the spot. But that's why you have to try things. That's why you have to adapt. You have to see what's going to work and what's going to get you going.
Yeah, absolutely. Adaptation is always a very important thing. It's actually one of the things that is the only thing. Maybe Overwatch is one of the only games you can talk about that adaptation. And yeah, there's a couple other games where you can make those hero swaps, but Overwatch has that ability to make those swaps in the middle of a map. Adaptation is very important, especially for this team here. Yeah, we talk about Cardifan being a Wrecking Ball and a Doomfist player, but man, do they have some other good tanks in their disposal. I think they have a really good Sigma. They have a really good Zarya as well. Cardifan has really fleshed themselves out in this last year since we've been started covering Faceit here, Hunter, and just to be an all-around solid tank player. But man, do they have two really, really scary tanks at their disposal.
Yeah, and it's one thing when you have one good tank that is just very versatile, but when you have two that can cover every facet of the tank pool, that's rough to deal with. That is rough for any team to go into and create an issue, because hey, at the end of the day, if somebody truly is becoming an issue and you go to target ban them, you make that swap, and the team is used to scrimming with two different tanks, so you're used to that synergy with both of them, so it doesn't really change a whole lot up. That's why having these versatile tanks, or just having two tanks that cover every facet, that's what teams are going to lean towards. And you might think, does that create a layer of visibility when you have two tanks of, oh, they're playing this person, it's clear what they're doing? Not always necessarily. And even if there is visibility, that doesn't mean it's necessarily going to be easier to take them down as a result.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Here, I mean, there's the benefit of flexibility. There's also the misfortune with flexibility. If you're really good on a lot of tanks, sometimes it could really, or really good on a lot of heroes, sometimes it could really make you second guess swapping to another hero when one hero is doing just fine. I think there's been a couple times in these past couple days, Hunter, especially yesterday in South America, and it happened in North America as well, where we saw Bastion swaps late in maps, and I said straight up, I thought that was the wrong move, but it ended up being the right move at the end. That flexibility there could be a good thing, but we've also seen it absolutely backfire on some teams where they make a swap, a minute and a half left to go, thinking it's going to be a big thing, but it just gets shut down time after time again here. A lot of stuff goes into these teams here as we're still trying to figure out what is going on with the lobby. I'm checking the Faceit Discord to see what's up. Oh, are they in map?
They are in map, yeah. So there is essentially nothing we're gonna be able to do for this first map, which obviously is what it is at the end of the day. But just what we're gonna do really quick, just because we want to get everything set up properly, we'll just go to break for a few minutes really quick. Obviously Bullskunk has the game going right now, so you can pull that one off on the side while you're waiting, but we're gonna just quickly cut over, do a quick break and get everything set up for our second map. So we'll be back in just a couple of minutes.
All right,
Right.
welcome back, everybody. Sorry, Hunter, about that. Welcome back, everyone. We were able to get into the lobby. Thank you, Bullskunk, for getting us here. It is currently 1-1 here. Dreamland took the last, EDM took the last point here on Ilios in a very, very close fight there on Ruins. But now we head over to the Lighthouse, and we really started to see EDM come alive here in these last this last point specifically.
Yeah, 100%. Bacardi fans getting a bunch of pressure, is honestly barely staying alive, but she's got to go grab the Mega Health Pack and just have to group back up with the rest of the team. But still, there's a bit of pressure on the point, but no one can seem to find a finish quite yet.
Graveyard, they're going to be able to find that finish right there on the Graves. There goes all the speed here for EDM and Cardigan, just kind of looking like they're sacrificing themselves at the moment, going so far in. Not going to be able to find anything there as Manly going to be able to take them down. EDM, though, they've been holding on this point. They've just been staggering it out for so long. Ryan with Pulse Bomb on point, not necessarily going to use it just yet. Graveyard, though, again, finding Ryan right there. And this should just be the full decommit here from EDM, but 150% on the board is nothing to scoff at here for them.
No, not at all, especially you work up to a majority of your ultimates as well, but obviously both sides are very much in that condition. Grapes, though, is really far behind on the beat compared to Nenway, so when you have things like the Bolo Shot and the Continued Rush is about to come online, that beat is going to have a pretty big level of importance. But, again, Pulse Bomb used early, and Talisman gets rid of Cardi Fan.
Talisman, yeah, like you said, getting rid of Cardigan right there. A lot of help from the rest of the team, where they'll be able to get them down low enough to where that Pulse Bomb finds all the value there. And one ultimate used there by Dreamland ends the fight. And look, they're coming up to four ultimates ready to go. Same thing, though, could be said for EDM here.
No, 100%. Again, 4 ultimates still on each side. And with Nenway having that beat for out, Grapes has had a little bit of time to catch up here. He's getting closer to it, but it still has to come in time. And Cardi Fan is going to go with Grove, and here comes the double Continued Rush to get this fight going.
Cardigan canceled the punch out there, but Ryan going to be able to find Nenway out on the board. Pulse Bomb, though, from Ryan, going to be suited out there by Graveyard as they keep themselves alive here. Talisman going to shut down Graves, and now it's going to be Dion finding PDK. Bomb, though, going to be investigated by Dion just to get back in mech, manually takes himself out. That could be a costly little mistake here by Dreamland here. EDM starting to get some momentum back in this point right now, but still fight going on here. EDM trying to get the point flip here, but Cardigan immediately has to shield themselves there for the brief moment because they're putting themselves in a big danger spot. However, EDM still looking for the point flip, still looking for anything they can to try to get Dion off. Bola and Beat coming out here from the side of Dreamland. Beat coming out there from Graves, but actually Cardigan just denying the Bola shot. Actually, it's Talisman trying to get rid of Cardigan here. Cardigan, though, needs all the help in the world here, and they're going to be able to get it, but 90% and counting here for Dreamland. They're in a good spot.
Yep, they have solved this out amazingly. So you see the deep dive there from Dion trying to pull them back around, but again, his Talisman is going to have a Pulse Bomb ready to go. Needs to find a really good stick target here, and Ryan is hoping for the exact same, and it might just take that one Pulse Bomb to turn this fight around.
PDK still looking for anything they can here, but it's going to be Cardigan finding the first person in this fight. Fight going on in the background there with Ryan as they try to get rid of Graveyard. Not going to be able to do it just yet, but the D-Mech there on the Dion did not happen. They actually were able to stay alive. Cardigan, though, going after Nenway. The defense matrix, though, from Dion going to be able to keep him alive, but it looks like it's just going to be Dreamland just kind of giving up the point here as you're starting to see a lot of pressure come out here from EDM.
Yep, and now 60%. Realistically, we're looking at this next fight deciding the whole shebang right there. And now it's a question of who gets what online here, because Gorilla's going to have to continue to rush before Graveyard, but Graveyard realistically should be able to have it to match right here. But you see Cardigan happy to be aggressive, happy to try to cut people off and invest in that Meteor Strike and hopefully trying to find somebody on the way out here.
Get just out almost immediately after coming right back down Earth here. Dion chasing after them, but Talisman now being harassed out here by Graves under the lot of support line. Manly, though, finding PDK, a huge early pick right there as Talisman or Manually looking for a little bit more. Finds Cardigan, Continued Rush out here. Now they're focusing on the back line here. 2 members already down, make it 3 down here for EDM. And a valiant effort for them on this first point, but it's going to be Dreamland coming right back in and taking control and taking our first map of the night.
Yeah, and that it will do, and that's a good performance by them at the end of the day. Pull one back around because both teams kind of had their moments of dominance on the point initially, but both of them I think do a fantastic job. But ultimately, it comes down to this big old fight, and it just goes the way of Dreamland. But that's what we expect out of this team: consistency to go into these long-lasting fights and being able to pull them out. That's not a stretch of the imagination. That is reality from the Dreamland squad.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if for Dreamland, I talked about it a little bit last night. They are a very consistent team. You really have to shut them down early because if you do not, you will just struggle into them throughout the entirety of the series here. EDM seemed like they were able to find some ways to slow them down a little bit and were able to get something back in them, but just weren't able to get over the hump. I think that's always the hardest thing with teams going up against Dreamland is the fact that you have to get over the hump. An incredibly hard team to be able to do that against. EDM, I think they're on a good start here, especially a lot better start than what they had the first time these two teams met, all the way back about a month ago at this point.
Yeah, 100%. But obviously, to keep things in mind, EDM now put themselves in a hopefully good position. They will have the map pick as well as the first ban. And to top it all off, that ball for Cardi is going to come back into play. So you could very easily go a map that kind of just aids to the wrecking ball in a lot of different ways right here. I don't know what you would realistically want to ban in the situation if you are Emote down mid. Because it feels like there were like good parts all over Dreamland. Dreamland just has so many good parts, but also it feels as though I don't think there's one definitive pick that is screaming at me right now. Dex, I don't know if you feel the exact same way, but it feels like you could pick almost anything here and you'd say, okay, yeah, that's understandable.
Yeah, and like here's the thing: I came into the series talking about, or when before our break, Dreamland in their series against YFPSA played very little, almost no Vendetta. I don't think you're going to see a Vendetta ban come out here from Emote Town mid because with them playing Doomfist or Wrecking Ball, you really cannot play a Vendetta with that. Honestly, you can't. I think Vendetta kind of struggles with it here. So they're going to, I think, avoid the Vendetta ban. Maybe go after Freya, Tracer here a little bit, even though you have a good Freya and Tracer on your team as well. Maybe you're starting to see that a little bit towards the end there as Manually was starting to take over, especially as they got going there in the very last fight. But you want to get rid of something here. You know, the support lines are almost going to be mirrored throughout the entire night. So it feels like it's always going to be one of those bans that you're putting out there saying, hey, we want to make sure you don't have this. We know we won't have it, but we want to really make sure you don't have it.
Yeah, we've seen it happen quite a couple times in the past of teams that realize like, hey, we want to play this as well, but we realize it's being more effective for you guys right here. So while it is a bit of a double-edged sword, it is ultimately going to aid you a bit more in a situation like that. But speaking of that, we do know the bans on both sides of the equations, and honestly, they make sense to a degree. We have the Cassidy ban coming through for Emote down mid in Dreamland, opting to get rid of the Doomfist.
And that's not a big shock, honestly, getting rid of Doomfist. Like I said, I feel like this is a good strategy by Dreamland. Normally, you see some teams hold these bans for later on in the series, but I think getting them out of the way in the first two maps is a good thing because it puts Dreamland, if they win this one up 2-0, yeah, you leave that tank pool open there for Cardi Fan, but you're basically saying, hey, we're going to have 3 maps to figure it out at the least.
Yeah, you've got time to figure this out at the end of the day. But obviously, them getting rid of some of these crucial tank bans early on may be a situation where EDM is able to bounce back from it after having to deal with, I think, the two most crucial bans when it comes to tank. Maybe 2 of the most crucial bans at all towards Emote down mid. But we'll see how they'll react as we're finally getting ready to head into our second map, Sir Avasa. And as we look over at the sides, it doesn't actually, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe Gorilla has come in this situation.
I think they might have been in last map. I really think they might have been in last map.
Yeah, take back what I've said. I'm gaslighting.
Yep, we love a good gaslighter here. But I mean, to bring us to a map like Survasa, we see a lot of teams just play this map. It feels like it's always most teams pick this map just as the flashpoint map. There are some teams out there who really do prefer to pick New Junk City. And honestly, I thought EDM would have been one of those teams here. I feel like that fits into the style of Wrecking Ball, considering that Doomfist is banned out here. And I realize I have the bans wrong on my screen. But I mean, it's interesting to see that Cardi Fan not showing us the ball here.
Yeah, but we have seen that hazard be coming out from here and there, but yeah, obviously ball comes out the last second. I was going to do a whole South America spiel, but nope, we are going over to the Wrecking Ball, which again, Cardi Fan's signature hero, and Diana over on this Diva, to be fair, We've seen Dion on this diva quite a couple of times throughout the season, even in some recent times as well. It's a good measure to deal with Cardiffan on this ball, but still, we know Cardifan's going to be a menace absolutely regardless of who's standing in their way.
Oh, absolutely here. But right now, I mean, Cardiffan needs to do their job here on this wrecking ball, just causing a lot of distraction. But this DPS line, PDK especially, need to be able to find an early pick here, give themselves an advantage. Dion, though, being able to eat up a lot of damage. We talked about it coming into the series. Dion, incredibly flexible tank here. We've already seen them play one tank map 1. Now they're playing a diva here on map, or they play diva map 1, playing it here again map 2. But you do expect some flexibility from them very early on here, as still the fight just breaking out here on point. Cardiffan just trying to disrupt that back line here for Dreamland, but nothing really working for them here just yet.
Yeah, point hasn't even fully unlocked yet either, and ultimates aren't quite even a factor yet. Everyone's kind of slowly starting to build up, but at the end of the day, someone's gonna have to go down. Somebody's going to have to give this up, but if this keeps going any longer, you're looking at Graveyard potentially having that rush, but point is gonna flip over. Dreamland starting out strong.
Yeah, Cardiffan got very low, just had to roll away, and that gave Dreamland all that they were looking for there to find the space to take the point. No one on EDM can really do anything without Cardiffan in the fight. Graves going to be taken out there early by Manually. Talisman going to be able to find Ryan as well, and this is the cleanup you are really looking for here if you are Dreamland. You're already finding more PDK. I think they're kind of in no man's land here at the moment, trying to slide out. Going to be able to do with some help from Gorilla, but eventually Talisman will take him down, and it will be Dreamland getting the first fight win here.
Yeah, and that's a really long fight right there at the end of the day. And obviously, you would have loved to have capped earlier and already be done, but now you get one more fight with, by the way, all 10 ultimates on the line. This fight is about to be an ult dump.
It's going to be an ult up on a half here. If you don't see more than, I think, 4 come out here, it's going to be a surprising thing. I have to imagine Cardifan's going to come right in and start off with the mines. Yep, that's going to be the case here. Already there, not really splitting up the team like how they would want it to, and not necessarily going to be trying to bump people into it here. Consumer Rush now out here from EDM as well as they try to commit early. Beat Consumer Overclock out from the other side as well. Hunter, here's your ult up. Already 7 ultimates out on the field. Talisman, though, gonna find the difference maker right there as 8 ultimates have been used already. Actually, no, check that. Make that 9. Yeah, no, 8. Actually, no, there's number 9 there. Ryan throws out the pulse ball, not gonna be able to find it. No one fallen just yet, but it's gonna be Graves finding Talisman out here early. Manly will find the trade, but right now, if you're EDM, you're looking for the next pick. Dion, though, gets rid of Ryan. It's Cardiffan just tries to roll around the point here to get the point flip here. Graveyard will be able to shut down Gorilla, and it will be Dreamland taking the first point here on Surabasa.
Yeah, that is an insane one right there. It feels like we were on that point for forever. We really weren't, though. And the only ult that exists still is Dion with this bomb, which, to be fair, doesn't have much of a utility outside of just having to remech. That's what it's realistically going to be used for. And now the closest you have is Cardiffan is 50% back to the mines again, so you're basically in a dry fight situation like you were originally.
The days of Poco bombs are gone, Hunter. Sadly. Sad thing to say. But, I mean, D.Va still finds a lot of value just being able to, use the bomb as a remaking tool, because it does give him a lot of safety into being able to get back in the mech here, as you do see him just try to get something going on point. Cardiffan, though, again, just being pressured out here. And this was one big question we had coming into the series. How would Dreamland kind of deal with Cardiffan on this Wrecking Ball or Doomfist? They've been doing a really good job with it and just pressuring them out and really forcing the rest of the team into bad spots here. It looks like PDK going to be able to get out with their life. No, it's going to be Manly, who's been having a great map so far, shutting them down yet again. And Hunter already 25% on the board right now for Dreamland. EDM needs to figure something out fast, but they're going to lose Ryan here if they're not lucky.
Yeah, Ryan's going to go down. Yeah, nearly gets knocked out of the mech twice already, but somehow he's going to stay in both times, and they're going to get a really good cleanup. And again, EDM is a team that thrives off of chaos happening, and so far, while there has been chaos, there hasn't really been results.
Yeah, there really hasn't. That's been the problem. I mean, I talked about it a couple times here. Cardiffan, they get low pretty early on in fights, have to roll away, and it just kind of put the rest of their team in a spot where, without the Wrecking Ball, they're kind of almost sitting ducks here. And look over at the side of Dreamland right now. All 5 ultimates ready to go for them here. Mines, though, I think these are much better placement for them the first time around. And yeah, already going to be able to find Nenwai out here as Cardiffan just tries to bring that chaos style that you want from them out. Consumer out from both sides. Cardiffan looking for the boots off the map. Not going to be able to find them just yet. Instead, she's going to be pushing people straight back on the point. Manly, though, will find Ryan out there first. Not necessarily helping out EDM here. Overclock out from Manually as well. Just trying to find Cardiffan out here. Beat, though, from Graves. Going to be able to keep him alive here. Bomb from Dion. A remake control. We talked about that one there. Dion, though, barely gets back in the mech. PDK now, overclock on their side. They just need to find something with this one here, Hunter, or I don't know how much of a chance they have in this map, but it's just Dion eating all the shots right there. The overclock comes and goes without finding a single pick, but EDM gonna get the point flip here, but I think this was just a smart play by Dreamland just to buy some time.
Yeah, and now you're going to have this copy to go over. You're immediately going to go take over on the Sojourn. If you're Ryan, you're going to be able to quickly be able to get your overclock online here, but still having trouble finding targets. Eventually gets rid of Talisman. The overclock is going to clear some space for him.
Yeah, the duplicate really working out here for Ryan, gonna be able to find one right there on Talisman, and that's what you needed from EDM in that fight. You use one ultimate, Cardifen's gonna be able to build to their minds, and you look over at the other side. I mean, again, those last two engagements, basically all ultimates that were ready were gone. Cardifen, though, being able to build the mines here very quickly should give him some time to really get set up on point.
100%, and Grapes goes down really early, and that is rough. You have the mines to go stall out for a while, and it's going to cause a little bit of good separation, but still, everyone's going to be able to just go around the corner and go back together again. But unfortunately for Dion, they're out of the mech early.
And that's exactly what you wanted here for EDM, but you can't give up the point flip for free. Cardifen recognized that, but where's the rest of their team? They give him the point flip for free here. Dion in the baby form, trying to at least get a pick here. Not going to be able to, but a get back in the mech. It's disaster class here for EDM at the moment, and Dreamland are the teachers. Gets pretty much out here from both sides right now, just trying to give their team any chance of a hope here is EDM. Dion, though, just playing offensive lineman on the goal line, going to be able to stop him right there. And Dreamland goes up 2-0 on the map. Now if you're EDM, you're just looking for a way out. Ryan will be able to find manually, but looks like Cardifan tried to at least just get out one way there.
Yeah, I mean, you're in a 4v3, but at this point it doesn't matter. It will matter in the sense as to where the point is at if you're able to regroup over there, but pulse bomb onto PDK, and they're just trying to chase down Talisman, by the way, and I think they're going to be successful here momentarily.
Talisman, though, doing a good job just juking and jiving away from everyone right there, using all their blinks. But look, Cardifan trying to come in after them, the recall coming out there as well. The point, though, hey, good distraction there by Talisman. Points on the other side of the map.
That's kind of insane. The three-man chase, you get a free cap with the point now. You don't have to invest anything to do so. I don't hate that at the end of the day. Like, Talisman does use the bomb just to be able to do it all, but again, I love it. I love the fact that you get this point for free and you still have manually who's going to try to pop off here.
And they've been good with the overclocks all map long here, trying to find anyone here. Beat out from the other side, not going to really be able to keep their team alive for much long there. Ryan used the duplicate onto a tracer. Pulse bomb ready to go, but not going to be able to throw it out right there. Overclock now out from PDK, who desperately needs to find something here to get their team in this point. But Dion doing everything here to stop all these railgun shots. Yet again, Cardifan, though, going to be able to shut down manually here, as this is probably the best point, in my opinion, for Wrecking Ball. PDK barely getting out. Bomb now coming out here from Dion, trying to find anyone. They find Gorilla. That's not who you want. See fall right there for EDM.
Yeah, Cardifan gets out, though, is important because Cardifan is going to be the touch for the squad more than likely. He's going to have the mines and make space for them. But that's it. In Graveyard, all you have to do is stay alive, be able to build up toward this Kutsune rush, and that's realistically all you need, because if this mines come out, you could potentially give up the point here and just focus on survival.
Mines come out and they're right on point. Talisman's barely going to be able to stay alive as well. Kutsune rush now out here from Graveyard, but it's going to be Nenwai falling here first. Manly will shut down Grapes as well, so no Lucios for either side here, but there has to be touches coming out from EDM as Dion, again, just doing a good job applying a lot of pressure. Ryan, though, they've been pretty consistent throughout the map so far, really helping out EDM in a lot of situations, but Manly shuts them down. Now it's all up to Cardifan, who has to roll away to get health, but no one's going to be able to get back in time. Dreamland goes up 2-0 in the series here. They are on match point, one map away from an upper bracket finals berth.
Yep, and that's a thing that is very familiar to them as well, being in that top 3 position. But obviously, job ain't done yet. But to be fair, the job's looking really good so far for them. They ended up taking that one in the 3-0 fashion here on Saravasa. They look great throughout the whole process. It's hard to ever root against this team because of how good they prove themselves to be in these situations. But I think one thing we've seen from EDM as well is just how good they have been, especially in the second half of the season, how strong they have performed even against some of the greatest teams that are around them. So I have confidence they have an ability to fight back here. It's really just about finding those very few mistakes that Dreamland make, and to be fair, they are very far and few in between.
Yeah, again, Dreamland, I talk about it here. I've said it a lot of times already. One of the most dominant teams, I think it's in Faceit this season, maybe Faceit of all time. I think they're this dominant because you don't see them making mistakes. You don't see them overextended. You don't see them necessarily sticking around too long. They play this. I don't want to say it right now because I feel like if I do, it's just a curse. But they're playing much better than what you would expect a Faceit team to be playing like. They have been playing excellently so far this series. And again, an excellent job right there, that last map. And now that Cardi fans' two bans are gone here, they're going to be going after something else. But right now, if you're EDM, you have to be asking the question, does it matter? Because you played Doomfist, struggled with it. You were able to at least force a point 3 on Ilios. You played Wrecking Ball, maybe not onto the best Wrecking Ball map in the world. Maybe some people would say maybe one of Wrecking Ball's worst maps, but you still saw Cardifan find some value with it there. Now that those two bans are gone, what is going to be the move here for Dreamland?
I mean, there's a couple of routes that you can realistically go because we have seen from Dreamland, they're not allergic to going to more of these comps that we kind of generally see from a lot of these teams here in Master. Again, we've seen a lot of teams previously kind of go things like the Sigma, like the Zarya, even the Bastion coming out in a lot of situations. Sometimes a little more Baptiste as well. We haven't seen much of any of that here so far. And depending on where we go, say for instance, if we go to something like a Shambali, I can 100% see it changing up to a style like that. It is just a question of whether EDM wants to go down that style or whether they want to potentially fall on the sword of trying to make the ball work again.
And that's going to be the interesting thing here. Because like we said, Cardifan does have some other tanks at his disposal. There are other tanks here that they could play, but it's probably normally the tanks you would see maybe played by Dreamland here. But Dion's been playing Diva all series long and has been able to shut down Cardifan on both Doomfist and the Wrecking Ball here pretty consistently. I think you could go after the DPS line here if you are Dreamland. But again, Emote down mid has first ban. We are waiting for that at the moment. We're also waiting for the map pick. So once we know that, we'll let you know it. But still, Emote down mid, they now have to bring us to what they consider to be their best map in this it left here. Because this is their last map pick, no matter what here with them. It looks like we're going to be handing to Dorado. They're going to be banning out Kiriko.
I don't hate this at the end of the day, honestly. Obviously, the Kiriko is going to work well with a lot of these dive situations. You don't hate it at the end of the day. But to be fair, the carry is something that I think works really well against the Wrecking Ball because obviously you get slammed by a ball. You have the ability to swift step. You have the Suzu. You have this ability to simply get out of these situations multiple times over. And no matter how good Cardifan can get in there and swipe away at them, you're going to have this ability to get away no matter what. It's not going to be the same way with something like an Ana, like a Brig, a Baptiste. It's not going to be the same situation. There's only so many picks you can realistically go if you decide to stay down this route of dive, which with the fact that it's Dorado, it's going to lean heavily that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Quick sidebar. I'm still hearing the Persona 5 music playing.
Oh my God. I love it.
But yeah, like you said, I think getting rid of the Kiri here is very, very smart one. Again, I think Kiri has a lot of viability. Considering Rush is still very strong. Suzu may be one of the strongest abilities in the game. We saw it used a lot of times there when those mines would come out just to get a lot of team members from Dreamland out of the way of it here. But is this going to be a map where we see Wrecking Ball? I think it is. I think we've definitely seen it in the past from Emote down mid. Doomfist is definitely a possibility if they maybe want to play a little bit more of a brawly play style, because that's where I would kind of lean with Doomfist when it comes to that kind of play style. Because yeah, you can call Doomfist dive, but I just like to call Doomfist and Wrecking Ball chaos comps because that's what you're looking for. And like you said, Hunter, Emote down mid has normally thrived in having these chaotic play styles come out, and Dreamland has been able to shut down those chaotic play styles a lot throughout the night here because you're not seeing the follow-up from the DPS line here for EDM.
Yeah, no, 100%. And obviously, we'll see a little bit more of this follow-up as we get set into this one. My own tiny little sidebar. Obviously, I'm still tuning into some of the other matches that are going down as Extinction Amplifier currently 1-1. I tapped out for a few seconds, came back. Apparently, they played a new queue sheet map that only lasted 3 minutes long.
Hunter, me and you saw, I think, a 2-minute 45-second one in South America this season.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we did.
So basically, that just means that they had maybe one stoppage there, and it probably was a last fight hold there. Tracer, though, going to be the band coming out here from Dreamland. So we'll get the map started here very soon. I'm wondering if they're gonna make side swaps here, because that is the last thing that I think Dreamland needs to do before we head into our potentially third and final map here. I think it's a little bit of a surprise to be saying that right now, considering how good Emote Down Mid has been playing down the line here. But still, Dreamland is this beast right now in North America, and Emote Down Mid needs to show us something here, or else that beast is going to send them down to the loser bracket here.
Yeah, and obviously they'll still have a chance down there, but in a situation like this, obviously you want to lock this in right here and now. You don't want to have to deal with that possibility of not getting into that top 4, because now the single bright side is if you do drop down and you lose both games, you're still going to be in Masters tier, but you're not going to get that bye into stage 2 when it comes to the qualifiers. And obviously, that's a pretty important thing. There's still going to be some really good teams in the initial stage of open qualifiers. And if they do drop, they're going to face the winner of that Extinction Amplified game, which, if it is an Extinction game with EDM, I think that's one of the most interesting games that I would love to personally see. I think Amplify in that same situation, but Extinction especially. But obviously, we're going to have to see as, again, trying to stay tuned into all these games, especially this one right here before us, as all we have left to do is take a look on the sides. I will go ahead and check over on Kintsugi game as well, as we're getting ready to head in here, as Nightmare's currently up 1-0 Kintsugi. They are playing on Suravasa, about halfway through it right now. So, hey, everyone's moving and grooving, but guess what? So are we, as we're headed to our third and potential final map with Dorado.
Yeah, and again, for EDM, you brought us to this map because you think it's the map that gives you the best chance to win, especially going up against Dreamland at the moment. So you really do have to put a lot of effort into this one and a lot of stakes into this one as well. Yeah, we have already talked about the stakes. You lose, you go down to the lower bracket. However, you're at least guaranteed a spot in Masters next season. But hey, if you're able to come back in the series and get a win, like you said, Hunter, as we see an on-ron pick there for a brief moment.
Ban him.
But I mean, again, a win here gives you that bye into stage 2, the OWCS qualifiers. I mean, that's a good play there. Actually, stage 1 OWCS qualifiers.
Yeah, and that's massive. You don't have to play through that massive qualifier where anything can happen in qualifiers. At the end of the day, there have been some really good teams that have just barely missed out in qualifier situations. That, hey, you never know what they could have done if they were in that situation. But regardless of it, you're worried about locking in here and now, and hey, you've got a good possibility for your Dreamland to close this thing out right now, finish top 3 minimum, and Ryan decides, nope, never mind.
The start you were looking for there, Talisman saying no shot. And Hunter, Talisman actually coming out of the Vendetta. Like I said, I don't believe I saw any Vendetta played yesterday by Dreamland. PDK hitting their shots as well early. This is the best start you could have asked for here for EDM.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to get through this first area with relative ease. Not even relative ease, with a ton of ease. And now Dion is at the very least going to be able to get out alive, retain all of that charge. But you could see the Zarya start to struggle more and more into the Doomfist, especially when we head over to second point. So this fight right here, I think it's really important that they win here, else this could be a potential snowball that could go away very quickly.
Yeah, very, very quickly. But you do see Dreamland get back out here very quick. Want to hold it down, and EDM, they're just going to back up here. They're going to play their angles. They're looking to have the advantage here, especially with Talisman playing this Vendetta. They don't want to necessarily go in even strength. I think they want to be able to find that first because it gives them a lot more things to play with here. Talisman, though, just kind of being pressured out here. Graves, though, remember, ERA's banned out map 1, showing us here now maybe why that ERA was banned out here. Oh,
yeah. No, Cardifan hit Dion off the point, unfortunately. There was no way to make it back, but also nobody was ready for that. So that's going to be 5 minutes on the clock. You're already going to have a nano, the Bob. There's so much online, and Talisman gets double stunned out and taken care of.
But honestly, I think that was, even though you see 9 there for, you got C9, you were forced to get off the cart there for Dreamland. The fact that you didn't lose that entire fight, you now put yourself in a really good spot here to hold on this second point push.
Yeah. No, it's a fantastic position to be in right here. But still, you have the Bob and the copy. You have so much to worry about. All 5 ultimates. The question is, what do they want to invest first? And apparently, it's going to be Ryan going on the scene with the nano.
You lose Dion before the B could get out there for Nenwai. Now you're just seeing them get chased down. The sun coming out here from Graves. I don't know if it hit onto anyone, but they're definitely trying to go after Talisman here. Going to be able to find them there now. Still just flying around, but you are seeing a little bit of a disengage coming out here from Dreamland as EDM going to be able to get this cart roll.
Yeah, manually going to be the sole survivor out in that situation, but I mean, bright side is while you do invest on double support earlier, manually, oh, never mind, dies really, I don't know if you want to say really early or really late there, but that is a devastating loss nonetheless.
And honestly, you needed that there for EDM. You got slowed down there a little bit. You find that one pick here, it staggers you out, puts you in a good spot. You're coming up to 3 ultimates, and I mean, one more fight win gets you the second point.
Yeah, this grab is going to have to be huge right here, and you can't just solo it on the Cardigan. It's not going to work that way in your mind. Manually nearly gets taken out by the one-shot combo from Cardigan, and Cardigan is just holding down this right side, making it as difficult as possible as Manually's trying their darndest, but they're just getting pushed back.
Ryan, I think, getting taken out there accidentally, but hey, they'll take it no matter what. Now it's going to be Cardigan in the backline trying to just get rid of Graveyard here. Graveyard, though, barely staying alive, but it will be a punch right there. Cart, though, not necessarily capped just yet here, but it's going to be PDK shutting down NY. Point 2 going over to EDM.
Yeah, this is an insane push so far, and you're still going to have to copy. Dion going to give up on the Czar, go over to the Diva instead. I think this is a really good pick. It's going to allow you to keep up with Cardigan a little bit more, who has been, in a sense, I think, kind of ignoring Dion a lot of the time, because there's no reason to run into the Zarya, especially the Zarya can't defend your backline, because the bubble rotations are so easy to identify. You can easily dive back and take advantage of that fact, but regardless, again, Manually goes down early.
And Ryan, they've just been playing excellently these last 2 maps here. Even though losing after last map, they were doing a lot for their team. Already finding an early pick out here. Now it's Cardigan going into that backline, trying to force Dion out of the mech here. But look at how much card progress they already have here. Graves still finds Nenwai, and now you're seeing EDM playing up to the potential that we've talked about.
Yeah, and this is far more than just potential. This is potential max potential right here. Dion and Cardigan, though, do get picks as Talisman is... He sees the sleeping PDK over on the side. He's able to pull up on it, but still, Dion going to be taken out over there, and they still need to go in and touch this point. This fight isn't over.
It's not over just yet. Cardigan's going to shut them down right there as they come back out. Is there going to be touch yet? Nenwai is there for the brief moment. Cardigan, with help from Ryan, going to shut them down, but no more touches come out. And EDM, 3 minutes, 19 seconds. That was what you were looking for this team. That hope is now building back up in them, Hunter.
Yeah, that is an insane push for Dorado. And we see a lot of teams that struggle a lot. Honestly, on every point, realistically. And third point, obviously, is the biggest one because of how close that spawn is, how quick everybody can come back. But it didn't even make that big of a difference at the end of the day. It's just a really good job here of EDM, again, playing to the style, bouncing back. They know what they're good at, and they don't just double down on it. They triple down on it, and it goes in their favor. PDK, over on the Ashe, was feeding families that attack right there.
13 Elims, most damage in the lobby. Grapes never died that round right there, and Crepes was playing, I believe, the Lucio throughout the majority of it. I might be wrong about that, but again, they were playing really good. This is what we kind of expect from EDM. It's nice to see them really show their normal selves in this series because it seemed like Dreamland had been shutting them down pretty consistently. However, I think Dion sticking on the Zarya there, as long as it did, I think that's what kind of hurt them. They were really trying to play that vendetta, but like I said, they didn't play it yesterday. I still feel like it's a thing they're really trying out here, but I think it hurt them that round.
I think it realistically did as well. And that'd be crazy if that is a statistical fact. But what I am curious to see here is Talisman and Ryan are both over on the Genji to get this round started, which would be very interesting. And obviously with Graveyard and Gorilla both repping the Anas, I mean, you know what we're probably getting out of this situation right here. Nano Blade's going to be a foot running around, but Talisman's going to decide, no. We're not living in 2017 no more. We're going back over to the Echo.
And we can go back to 2016, though. That can definitely be a potential for EDM, at least. Talisman, though, on this Echo, I think is going to cause a lot of problems for Cardigan. I think that's one reason why you swap over to this here. Ooh, nice sticky nades coming out there. Going to be able to get a lot of damage there. But the cart, though, not really moving a lot throughout this entire engagement.
Yeah, Cardigan just, like, bounced, by the way. Like, it's like he hit a Goomba on the way in there. And unfortunately, It's going to result in that death going through, but that is a really big death at the end of the day. That's going to get you a ton of progress on here.
Ooh.
But again, PDK being PDK. They're just literally giving the business to Graveyard, and to be fair, isn't even going to get fully punished either. In fact, Ryan gets the follow-up. This card, the progress is probably going to stop right here.
Yeah, those two pictures there slow down Dreamland's entire kind of push there, especially being a Cardi fan. Normally that would have been a situation where you thought just Dreamland goes straight in, but no, that's not going to be the case here. Instead, they're almost backing completely out.
Yeah, that's rough. And now Cardi fan just has the whole team behind them here. It's going to be really rough to pull this one back around. I know there's 2.5 minutes on the clock, but getting rid of Gorilla, I mean, that's a really good start. But Manly decides, hey, put this in my hands. But again, PDK trying to shut people down. But Graveyard, in excellent sleep here, is going to at least stem the bleeding, and you'll get rid of Cardi fan, so you're going to be able to put yourself in one-fight territory.
Yeah, and PDK, unfortunately, does not have Bob ready to go here, so they won't be able to kind of use it as a stalling tool. However, everyone for EDM should be able to get back really quickly.
100% they should. And obviously, again, into this fight, you're going to have the bomb, you have the nano coming online, but PDK is going to throw the bomb and instantly, and honestly, that is an amazing spot for her. That's going to put Dion in such a rough situation.
Talisman getting the nano, already going to be able to find PDK after they use the bomb, but Ryan coming back out. Duplicate coming out here from Talisman onto Ana, probably just to keep themselves alive here, but Ryan finding two already, looking for a third, going to be able to clean up the duplicate there, but now they just need to get rid of Talisman. Gorilla going to be able to find them out there, and now this is what you were looking for EDM. You had this card at this spot right here. Dreamland has to go through a couple chokes to get here.
Yeah, that is going to be a bit of a rough one right there. Man, if you get that Neto on the line, obviously, who knows what happens, but now you're going to have Ryan with that blade on line, which, well, you're going to have responses for it 100%, but I'm concerned that Grapes, again, is going to have such this ability to be untouchable coming up in this next fight, but Cardi fan barely gets that out on time.
Yeah, Cardi fan going to be able to get out with their life here, showing how much of an expert they are on the character here. Going to be able to barely get out with their life here again. But, I mean, Hunter, we're getting to the point where we're almost at final fight. You look at the other side here, Nenwa, we haven't really talked about them a lot. Playing the Juno, has the orbital strike ready to go here. Cardi fan backing out yet again. The PDK, though, going to be able to shut down Manly just after they use the Bola. There goes the orbital ray out as Dion going to be focused out here a little bit, but the blade from Ryan is out and about. Already finding one, make it to the bomb, though. Not going to be able to find anyone, but does buy Dion some time. Graves going to be able to find Talisman, and this is just be a quick disengage here from Dreamland because they do not have the time necessarily to have a full-on stagger.
Yep, Dion needs to swap right here now, I think. Has to make some kind of change, and yeah, it is a desperation swap to the Doom as well.
Dion Doom?
Yeah, that's a first for me, mate. But hey, it's desperation. They gotta make something happen here.
I mean, I talked about how Dion is a very flexible tank player. It's a first for me as well. I don't think I've ever seen Dion play the Doomfist here. No ultimates though, really, for Eddie's side. It's gonna be Gorilla with their own nano here, ready to go first. PDK not that far away from Bob, so you have a couple good stalling tools right now for EDM here. Party Fight already taking a lot of damage early on. Bob out onto the field. The nano out onto Cardi Fan here. Going to be going in. PDK's Bob does find one. Graveyard, though, being pressured out here. PDK absolutely popping off here. Have yourself a map, PDK. Honestly, 24-2, lapping the entire field.
It's a little bit of insanity, isn't it, at the end of the day? It's a great performance by this entire team, but PDK stepping up big time as, yeah, you get him, Doomfist. You show him what for. But you love it at the end of the day. This is them, again, going back to the roots, what we've seen them be able to represent and show off over the course of the last couple of months. Heck, the last several months, if you really think about it. A team that's able to build themselves around compositions like this and look like one of the strongest teams around. That's just what a team like Emote is able to do. And now for the first time in the series, Dreamland is forced to respond because they didn't just get beat. They got kind of beaten down in that instance, Dex.
Yeah, it wasn't like, hey, Dreamland got very close to completing the map, but just weren't able to get over the hump there. No, this was very much, they struggled throughout the entire map here. And we talked about it, especially coming in this third map, both Wrecking Ball and Doomfist not available to be banned out anymore by Dreamland. Again, a very good strategy in those first couple maps because you get rid of the two best tanks for the tank player on the other side. You're giving yourself 3 maps if you do win those first 2 maps to figure out how to beat it. Now, though, one map is gone. You have two more maps to really figure out how to beat it. Or really, honestly, you have one more map to figure out how to beat it because you don't want to get the map 5 and see this EDM team really come alive.
Yeah, no, that would be absolutely scary if that were to be the case at all. But we'll see what the process of bans and like is going to be here because for the first time since really the series has begun, Dreamland's gonna have a first crack at the bans, and we'll see what route they want to go down because again, they've taken out the two major factors with the ball and the Doomfist. Now, if you want to take last map into consideration, you could get rid of the Ash, but with this heading to a map like Runasapi, they are going to ban out the Rhine, which just seems like a tank protect situation in my mind.
It definitely does because you said we're going to Runasapi.
Yeah, Runasapi.
It has to be a protection, but for what tank is it going to be? Is it going to be the Diva again? Is it going to be... I mean, we've seen Jungle Queen a lot on this map in the past. Ramatra is still there as well. Diva is still definitely an option, especially for Dion. But you talked about there. It was a little bit of a beatdown for Dreamland last map. Dion, I think, got maybe the worst of it as they just kind of lost all value on the Diva that they had in those first couple maps, just gone. They started off on Zarya because they wanted to play that Vendetta playstyle, but it really didn't work out for Dreamland as it's worked out for a lot of the other teams here in this Masters Tier playoffs.
Yeah, 100%. And obviously, with us now in this situation where things are starting to really go their way, it's a question for them of how do we keep this momentum going? Because you get rid of the Rhine specifically so that you can protect your tanks, and obviously we'll find out what that tank is going to be, but it's going to put them in a more comfortable position as a result. Because I think you could reasonably go into that map and decide, hey, maybe we ban the Diva or the Zarya here, and we double down with our commitment on the Doom with the ball. But now you have to go after either the support line or the DPS. And realistically, looking at what's on the field, what you can mess around with, I imagine you go the support category, but it's going to be the Lucio ban, which means we're more than likely either going to see the Ana Brick come back out or potentially some Juno coming back on the scene.
Yeah, especially because we did see the Juno come out from Dreamland last map. I know if you've been on Twitter or even watch some of these other streams, you've started to hear a lot of people talk about how Juno is not necessarily in the best spot, maybe not the strongest she's ever been. Granted, probably a good thing that she's not as strong as she was when she first came out, but you've seen a lot of people just kind of go away from it here, away from playing Juno. Wu Yang is still there. Juno is still definitely a possibility since we've already seen one team play it, but it's going to be interesting to see what these two teams do because Lucio has been a mainstay for both throughout the series.
Yep, 100%, and we're getting ready to head into this next one, but just again a little bit of an update for what's going on in the rest of the CNX station. It's currently up 2-1 on Amplify. Amplify is currently on third point of King's Row, still has 3.5 minutes on the clock, looking like they have a potential great push going their way, but a less close game right now. Nightmare up 2-0 on Kintsugi, who's trying to fight back over on Shambali right now. We'll see how that goes down, and unfortunately, due to events that are fortunately out of our hands, Academy and YFP, we are just going to have to find out when the score is reported.
Oh, no. It's over. It's reported.
Oh, really? Wait, really?
And I'll break it to you. Nightmare Academy 3-0s YFP.
Oh, man, really?
Yeah, wow. That is what is showing up right now on the Faceit's website here. YFP, again, saw them last night going up against this Dreamland team. They got better throughout the series. They need to put it together early on. I think that's maybe was one of the biggest problems for YFP. They always started off slow. Even a couple series that we watched them play, Hunter, they started off slow but got better as it went on. Nightmare Academy, well, they get the win over YFP here tonight, 3-0 fashion. They lock themselves in the Masters tier next season. Now YFP going to be going to that last chance qualifier here or the LCQ to try to make sure they get back into Masters next season as well.
Yeah, and I think they have a strong capability of doing so. I think this was a really good team going into the season that made quite a bit of adjustments to their style. But I'm proud of what they were able to do. As you know what, you gotta love this squad in here. You love it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, a lot of these players in North American Masters are really good friends, and I mean that could probably be said for most of the Masters players in any region. Just good camaraderie around. But looks like we're heading in here momentarily to Runasapi. Hunter, map 4.
Woo.
We were looking for this kind of series here tonight. We're going to get this kind of series here tonight. Does EDM force a map 5, or does Dreamland end those hopes right now and book their ticket to the upper finals?
Well, we're going to find out pretty quickly here, but with us, that's crazy. That is some crazy talk going on in the chat right there. But regardless, hey, we're in map 4, baby. I'm happy that we're here. We're getting this one going. EDM happy to be fighting back, and I'm fighting back hard too. I don't care if I go completely mute by the end of this one. It should be a good one here, as looking at both sides, I don't think either of them are going to make any adjustments going into this map.
And Dion, the Rhine band coming out here now from Dreamland. Dion's going to be showing us a Sigma here. The Sigma that I basically saw throughout the entire series last night. Looked incredible. Cardi fan, this is kind of what we expected from them, but what do you think about Ryan at least teasing us here with the Vendetta?
You know what? I would not hate it at the end of the day. Why not? Genuinely, why not? Let's see what happens here. And hey, it's more than a tease. It's reality. But what I really like here is Talisman out here over on the Mei, which this is either going to work really well or it's not going to at all. In a sense where you want somebody that you can reliably wall off, but there's maybe, well, as we have a pause, the only two reliable targets are realistically Grapes and PDK. Everyone else can get out of that situation essentially immediately.
Well, yeah, absolutely. That's 300 ping. That's not good. But the Mei pick from Talisman, I saw the Mei actually be used a lot by them last night. And you talk about the ice wall because you really have to, but you have to really worry about Talisman being a hit scan Mei. They were landing right click after right click last night, and it seemed like headshot after headshot as well. They're incredibly scary on it, especially going into a composition right now for EDM that wants to kind of play fast. Blizzard Ice Wall going to be able to really slow them down a lot here throughout this map.
Yeah, 100%. That Mei, despite what maybe some people might think, still has a ton of effectiveness within 2026 Overwatch. I think it's going to continue to still be a character that isn't necessarily the strongest, and I think for the first time in a long time, falls into the category of like, is it weird to call Mei a niche pick? Because it feels like it is, because Mei's consistent, but Mei's also really good in specific situations as well, where with these perks, Mei obviously is way stronger than she has any right to be, by the way, but there are some characters that are hit by that wall literally cannot do anything to save their lives. If you were a Sigma and you're going up against like a Mei or Matra, you're cooked, buddy. You're walled off. You're done. Good luck. Reset.
I think for all the reasons why you explained, I don't think it's necessarily a niche pick. I don't think she's a niche pick just yet. I think she's on that outer edge of meta and non-meta, where I guess you could say that kind of falls into niche, but you still see enough play from it that I feel like every team kind of has to have an idea of how to play with it and play against it. But especially with how Dreamland plays it, they really could have Talisman, I think, play Mei for a lot of the maps and still not really struggle going into a lot of different play styles.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Hide the chat.
Nah, it'll probably be fine. It'll probably be okay. I don't know. Listen, can we restart map? Can we restart map? I guess we're gonna restart map, and that means I'm gonna send it back to us for a second here.
I don't think they're
yes,
actually restarting
no,
map.
W, yes. That's funny. Well, we'll see in a second. You gotta, okay, yeah, they're gonna restart. You gotta love these guys. You have to.
A fun bunch of people here, as looks like someone from Dreamland is no longer in the lobby.
Oh God, you love to see it. It's big funnies. Oh, he's full lagging. No worries. Oh yeah. So they'll take a second to get this figured out, but internet will be internet, Dex, so nothing really can do in that situation. Man.
Let's see. So, I mean, yeah, this map is going to be very important, especially because we already kind of seen what these two teams really want to run on it. the May coming out from Dreamland, like I said, it falls into, and you know what? I'll agree with you. It's a little bit of a niche pick. It's not meta, but it definitely has its uses on some maps. Runasapi, I think, definitely being one of the maps where it finds a lot of value, and probably a lot of the control maps where May would find a lot of value as well here. But like I said, with how they play, with how Dreamland plays the May, you don't really look at it as niche. It could be something that they could run every map, and I think you wouldn't see that much of a difference a lot of times.
Yeah. I don't think you would either. Not a massive difference. And to be fair, I think in a lot of respect that's a good thing when you can have those swaps and there isn't that massive of a difference, and that comes through with flexibility, which is thankfully something that a lot of teams do represent nowadays, is having flexibility. Even a team like EDM, who kind of falls obviously into like a certain set of comps, has the ability to change things up in its own way. And sometimes for a lot of teams, that's changing up through the tank. But it feels like when it comes to EDM, it's a change up through the DPS more than anything else. You make the swap over to things like the Ash and the Echo, and it just starts burning through Dreamland. It's all this raw damage that, to be fair, can be really tough to deal with. If you decide to go after that Ash, you're going to have Cardifan on you the very next second. It's difficult to deal with, but it just goes to show how good they're able to adjust in a situation like this.
Yeah, absolutely. But one thing that I kind of talked about before the start of last map for EDM, and really just the entirety of EDM, how everything was kind of not working. The dives coming out from Cardifan, really not finding the cleanup there from that DPS line. But I think that DPS line, especially PDK, really, really stepped up last map. They, like I said, lapped the field with not only damage, but kills. I think the 24 elims that they had at the end of the map was probably 3 or 4 short of what the entirety of Dreamland had right there. So they had the map they were really looking for there. And again, that was Emote Down Mid's last map selection of the series. They had to bring us to a map that they felt 100% confident they would win on, and hey, they absolutely did that. And like you said, it was a little bit of a beatdown, a stomping, a roll there.
Yeah, hey, you want to hear something about a roll? We're back on that Nightmare Kintsugi series. Kintsugi just full held Nightmare on Shambali and take the first map away from them on that series. So now it's 2-1, still in favor of Nightmare, but Kintsugi gets the first map on the board. They're fighting back, and hey, I'm excited for that series. I'm excited for our series here, as it looks like they're going to overtime rounds with Distinction Amplified. But hey, we're focusing on what we got going on here. Our fourth map, starting this time, I promise, as we're heading over to Runasapi once more. We saw before what Dion was coming out with that Sigma. I think it's very likely we see it again. Now, does everything remain the same? Does the May still come out in the situation? Because they got to see brief looks of what each team was running.
Yeah, they both saw it, and I don't think either of these teams are really going to make that much of a change here, especially Dreamland. You know what you're going to be seeing from Emote Down Mid. I think the biggest thing that if they didn't see it, Ryan was on the Vendetta coming out of the gate, and they stuck to it as well. But some swaps actually coming out from, I think, both teams actually.
Yep. And I like it. Ryan going to be over on that Tracer instead, which I think is going to work out really well. It's going to be really good at harassing this backline a lot, which, to be fair, in Numwise only going to be able to defend themselves so much. They have the speed, they have utility, but it's not going to be a situation like Graveyard, who again just has to get out of jail free cards and kind of help themselves out. But again, it's going to be the Sigma versus the Doomfist here. Dion has really shown that flexibility here today, by the way, so far, and you absolutely love to see it, but that consistency needs to come through here. And hey, how do you do that on a push map? You start strong, you take this first fight, you get the advantage early.
Talisman, though, is finding right click after right click here as my game lags for a brief moment. But this is what you're looking for right now. Cardifan going right after Dion, not going to be able to find the punch kill right there, as Dion gets already healed right back up to full health. And this is where you're looking for a moment for PDK to get on an off angle, find an early pick, allow Cardifan to go in on that backline here. And they're at least pulling away some attention. Cardifan now focusing on Graveyard. Graveyard going to barely be able to stay alive, but Talisman, like I said, on this May, it doesn't matter. They can play them as a hit scan. They have an excellent execution with this May.
Yep, it's great. Cardifan is just so desperate though right now. He's going to try to get out alive. We'll be able to. But, I mean, Talisman is just going to be able to cut off Ryan there momentarily, who Well, it's likely to live for as long as they did, and eventually won't be able to do so. Gorilla is in a rough position. It's actually winning the 1v1 against Talisman right now, but Cardi Fan unfortunately dropping means there's going to be a ton of progress in the cards here for Dreamland.
Yeah, and Dreamland, again, we talk about it a lot when we come to this a map like this. The fact that we see a lot of teams get off to a really fast start and then kind of have a teeter-totter back the other way here. But if you're now EDM, you need to really have a good fight here, because you look at Talisman, they have Blizzard ready to go here at some point in this fight. Cardifan does have to get out of jail free card, and you do have Kiri's on each side here, at least be able to unfreeze him for a brief moment, as you already see the Suzu coming out there from Graveyard, gonna be able to keep manually alive, and Cardifan just has to invest the Meteor Striker just to get out, tries to focus in on Talisman, but not going to be able to find them. Now the consumers coming out here from Graveyard. Cardifan almost able to escape right there, but manually shuts them down, and now you're just going to see Dreamland roll straight in here. And I think this will be forward spawns and checkpoint as well.
Yeah, and you lose Gorilla late as well. You get the forward spawns with that checkpoint as well. You still have 4 ultimates going into this next fight as well. You've already done some serious damage, but you have an ability here in this next fight to do some permanent damage in this scenario. If you manage to get Cardifan taken care of early here, which would have if not for the Tidal Blast.
Yeah, but the Tidal Blast doesn't hit on anyone as the Blizzard comes out from the other side. Same thing with the Orbital Ray, as I think Graveyard will find Ryan and PDK because of it here. And I mean, Hunter, this map is slowly starting to slip away here from EDM.
Yeah, it's a bit on the rough side right now. As Cardifan still hanging around in there, but manually wants to potentially put this one on ice right now, but gets knocked out of their socks right there.
And you honestly need that pick for EDM just to kind of slow everything down, get something going back your way, but you need to find the next one here as well. You cannot give or Dreamland exactly what they're looking for here, but it's going to be all going EDM's way at the moment. Cardifan finding Graveyard out. PDK will shut down Dion. However, forward spawn should be there for everyone for Dreamland.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, 106 meters in. Oh, that's rough.
Oh my goodness, PDK.
Oh, okay, PDK. I should have stayed on you on that one, buddy. Oh my god. Okay. Manually's not getting good spawns anymore. Actually, it's going to be close, but they just barely won't. Ooh, that's rough.
Look at what that one pick does. Look at the ultimates here. EDM's going to have 3 ready to go in this fight, while you're going to have 2 ready for Dreamland at some point, but the Flux is going to have to pull a lot here to allow Graveyard some time, and now it's Talisman almost getting taken out here very early on. It's actually PDK investing early, and they find the investment right there, looking for a little bit more, but it's going to be Dion shutting down Ryan, so trade out there. Again, more trades evenly across the board here. Cardifan now trying to at least be able to find Dion, who can use the grasp, but Gorilla finding 2 right there. Dion gonna take themselves out with the accretion, and Hunter, like I said, we see this a lot. It kind of seesaws back and forth in this map.
Not it will. They're gonna be able to get the forward spawns, but still, you're gonna need another solid fight or 2 to be able to start taking this back completely. And now you're gonna have this Flux online, which, to be fair, Cardifan has the ability to break it out if you time this punch correctly. But still, I'm looking forward to Ryan and seeing what they do with this copy coming up here as Cardifan gets obliterated.
Ryan, they're going to be able to trade it out here, but you would really love to have your Doomfist alive here. Ryan, though, going to duplicate into Sigma here. This could be a big ult here for them if they're able to get up to the Flux, but I don't think they're going to be able to find it here. Graveyard will be shutting down the ever-hot Gorilla, and now duplicate gone as well for Ryan. This just seems like a moment right here for EDM where you're just trying to stall out this card as long as you can to hope everyone gets those forward spawns.
Yep, and you get it within 35 meters of, of your enemy. You get the forward spawn, so everyone gets back really quickly. So this is really good progress at the end of the day to keep this thing from getting way too out of hand. But now, Cardifan again has that get out of jail free card with the Meteor Strike. But I think the most important online is going to be Nen-wise. When you're going this corner with this Orbital Ray, it's going to be so deadly to work with. As Cardifan, I think, kind of burns that ultimate away a little bit, honestly.
And I think they put themselves almost into the firing line right there. Coming down as the Orbital Ray comes out, forward spawn's gonna be going right back over to Dreamland here now. And still, Dreamland has a couple ultimates coming up here. Oh.
That's a really rough late death right there from Grapes. PDK, though, gets manually again, by the way. PDK has been really good at just finding these random early picks to kind of bring things back, but still, Dreamland's doing a good job of sustaining. Oop,
Dion not going to
fine.
be able to get out that time, as again, PDK, like I said, they definitely stepped up last map for EDM. They are doing it here yet again. Still down, though, by a little bit more now. Make it 38 meters, but they are still very much in this map.
100%. They are still have a lot of work to be done here. To be able to bring this one back right now if you're Emote down mid, but you have the ultimates to pull it back right now. You genuinely do. Graveyard's not going to have a Kitsune rush during this next engagement, but I love this. They're stalling out the point here, and it's forced them to use these ults here as PDK gets manually again.
Again, you need someone to step up for EDM, and PDK has been that person right now. Ryan going to shut down Nenwai here as the bot almost being just hijacked right there, but Dion will find Gorilla, who you don't really want to lose early in any of these fights, but oh my goodness, Grapes and Cardifan, what a combo!
That is insanity. And now, Force Bond's about to be activated once more. Cardifan sees the blood in the water, and now you're going to have the power to give PDK everything. You could give them the Tidal Blast. You're going to be able to have the Overclock as well. Cardifan can be super aggro here. This could potentially really go their favor.
Grapes are playing safe right now because they know if Manly takes them out early, it could be this fight done and dusted before it even gets started. PDK, though, pops up with the overclock. Not going to be able to find one right there early on, but if they can find anyone with it, it's a benefit to them. Now you're seeing the ultimates being invested by both sides. Tidal Blast out. Actually, Grapes is going to be able to find Manly because of it here. The pick that you were looking for EDM is there. You just need to be able to find the next one. However, they're going to back out, let this Kitsune Rush go away because they're still in a good spot here.
100% they are, but Dion's still going to have a Flux around the corner. Has to be very careful not to have it be caught out here, because remember, you can still get punched out by Cardifan, but here it comes. It's going to go up. It's going to catch just under one.
And you're not able to find the kill because of it, but you do find Cardifan! Oh no, if you're EDM, you have to get out. You have to back out completely from this one, and I don't think everyone's going to be able to.
No, you won't be able to. And that's really rough. Now PDK is down. This fight done and dusted. Let's try headed back the other way. Everybody is going to still get the good respawns, though, but still, man, that might have been your best chance right there to take that lead.
98 seconds left to go here. You have Meteor Strike, you have Blade. Again, nothing really to boost the Blade here. You have no Nano, you have no Tidal Blast, so this is going to be a dry Blade, but Ryan's been able to make magic before here. But Nenwai with this Orbital Ray, I think is going to be huge. But Graveyard, say goodbye to them. Say goodbye to Nenwai as well. Again, PDK stepping up for this team here. And now it's just clean up right now for EDM. And honestly, if you can get rid of Talisman here, it's only a benefit. Yep, there it is, the benefit. And you have to remember, no forward spawns here. But that bot is now much, much closer to the end or the spawns for Dreamland.
Yeah, but again, take into account that you're going to have Nenwai coming with this Orbital Ray, and it's going to be really tough to deal with because you have nothing to fight back initially. Yes, Gorilla is going to have a Kitsune Rush, but at the end of the day, the amount of damage you get from this Orbital Ray, it's unreal, especially if you're manual and you pop off during this situation. It manually needs a pop-off situation for their team right here and now, and it could not come at a more important time.
Kitsune Rush out here from Gorilla as this is the go button right now for EDM. Blade out from Ryan, but they're just going to back up here as you do see the Orbital Ray come out from Nenwai. No one falling just yet as both teams avoiding, but Graves finds Talisman. A huge early pick here for EDM as we're nearing the final fight of this map and potentially of the series.
Yep, and now they're pressing up right here because you want to give yourself room to make your way through this, and now Flux is still available, by the way. Perfect onto Cardifan, and with Cardifan down, it's could be the beginning of the end.
Dion with the Flux, no one to cancel out this time. Graves gonna get caught in it, no one gets back to the cart in time. Dreamland drops their 7th map of the season here tonight, but they'll be moving on to the grand finals. Not the grand finals, the upper bracket finals.
Hey man, in a lot of ways, it might feel like a grand finals to them. Again, you lock in your spot into the stage 2 of those qualifiers. You gotta be feeling great right now. You're in a good situation. Emote that mid, they give you a big fight. They make you feel nervous. But at the end of the day, they're gonna pull it out, and that is, hey, ended up being a really good game overall between these two squads, like genuinely.
Yeah, it really was. Again, though, I feel like a lot of teams, when they go up against Dreamland, they start off slow, and it's nothing it's nothing about them starting off slow. I think Dreamland just puts a lot of pressure onto these teams very early on, and it takes them a map to really get going. And by that point there, Dreamland figures out what they really need to do. However, you have to give Emote Diamond a lot of credit for their Dorado performance. I think you finally saw a little bit of fear maybe be put into Dreamland here in the playoffs so far. They really got shut down on all fronts, and going here to Runasapi, yeah, they got the strong start, but they almost immediately gave it all back up to EDM right after that. A couple key swaps and a couple key plays coming out there from a lot of members of Dreamland is the reason that we are going, that they're moving on to the upper bracket final.
Yeah, and it's big for them right there. And obviously, we'll see who they're going to go up against between Nightmare and Kitsugi. That game's still going. It's currently in the 4th map. Obviously, not going to have a result quite yet, but we do know that Extinction Amplify, they're going to a map 5. They're going to do it. They're going the entire distance, and I'm absolutely thrilled to see what's going to happen there. So, I'll tell you what, I'm dying, chat. Not literally, but you know what's going on here. You know what's happening here. So what's going to happen here is obviously we're going to come back with another game tomorrow. Obviously, you'll find out on our social medias what game that's going to be and when it's going to be happening. Likely same time tomorrow, but we'll let y'all know then. But we're going to send y'all over quickly over to Mott, who is taking care of this Map 5 game with Extinction and Amplify. So, hey, thank y'all for coming out here, for supporting us. We hope you have yourselves a fantastic evening. Just keep watching the playoffs this week. Keep supporting, Tier 2 Overwatch, Tier 1 Overwatch, just Overwatch in general, It's a good time to be a fan. You gotta love it. So, everyone, have yourselves a great night. We'll see you next time. Peace.